Let me just get a little closer here. Yeah. A beautiful question, though. How is the best of the past operating in the present so we can have examples of how the tradition is working in this present-day context? Is that a fair characterization of your question? Because when I talk, for example, when I talked about Lupe, I was using an example of someone who exemplifies so much of the best of the black freedom struggle so that the Nina Simones would have smiles on their faces. Nina would have a smile, Donny Hathaway would have a smile, you see. Who else would it be? Well, somebody, give me some candidates. Who else would it be? Not just in music, but in business, in politics, in struggle. Who else would it be? Jimmy Smith. What? No, got to be alive now. Got to be alive now, brother. You looking at somebody alive, right? Right now. That's right. Anybody know Philip Agnew? Who's Philip Agnew? Somebody tell us. Yeah. Yes. That's right. That's right. Oh, 06 in the house. Yeah, well, you're saying I love, though, but you broke that down eloquently in that sense, though. Anybody know William Barber? Somebody tell us who William Barber is in North Carolina. Leader of the Moral Mondays. You all been keeping track every Monday they're bringing people together? Given what's going on in North Carolina? Oh, I know Sister Mary knows about North Carolina. Absolutely. Another great example, Erykah Badu. She's still young for me, but she might be a little older for y'all. She's a truth teller. She speaks from the depths of her soul. She's not part of the culture of superficial spectacle. You see, that's the dominant orientation in entertainment. You got to look a certain way, you got to shake that thing a certain way, and so forth and so on. She stands there the way Aretha used to stand and sings her song from her soul with a gut level of sophistication and funk that makes Sarah Vaughan smile in the grave. But she does it in her own Dallas voice. Sound a little bit like Billy, sound a little bit like a host of others, you see. That would be another example. But Brother Moore, do you have a question? Oh, yes, James and Toomey, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's just we'll tell him who he is. The son of Jimmy Heath. You all know Jimmy Heath, one of the greatest jazz musicians, friend of John Coltrane and others, still going strong. Played with Miles Davis. James and Toomey. Juicy Fruit. Anybody know that song, Juicy Fruit? Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. That's in Toomey. New York Undercover. Anybody heard New York Undercover? He did all the music. That's exactly right. Yes. Activist to the core. He's the last of the great Renaissance men. James and Toomey. He's another. He's older than Erykah Badu, but he's still alive, and he's part of the Baldwin legacy. But those are some of the examples, and I'm sure there's many, many others that I can't think of at the moment, though. But I love that question because it shows that the tradition's still alive. No matter how difficult it is to gain access to that integrity the brother was talking about, you still have some that are trying to do that. And that's very, very important, very, very important. Other questions? Yes, my sister. No, thank you.
with Nigeria. And I know we're here about, speaking about diversification and how we can further the market's advertising for young black people here. But I also believe that there are young black thinkers that, they're, I guess, creative genius is not been sparked yet
Yeah.
in Africa. So what can we do to help the people that are over there to further, advance advertising as a whole?
Yes. Oh, thank you for the question. And it's Princess Grace. That's your real name, huh? Wow. Oh, yeah. Ooh, you got a jump start in life, though, didn't you? I'm telling you. That's beautiful. The part when I talked about the international character and the cosmopolitan content of the movement that I'm talking about, the tradition and the struggle, we have to be global. And that very much includes Africa. We have to be able to make connections. We have to be able to work together across the Atlantic. And thank God you're here, so that facilitates the possibility of making those kind of connections even better. And then the grand traditions of Chinua Achebe and Wole Soyinka and others, towering Nigerian geniuses, very important to keep in mind. But you're absolutely right. But again, in making those connections, it has to be done in such a way that it puts a premium on self-determination. It's not just a matter of tapping the market, it's the way in which you do it. Do you have power, control, integrity, decency, honesty? That's always a crucial question. How are you coexisting with others? Are you allowing yourself and your voice to be heard alongside others? Or are you just subordinating yourself in order to gain access to a quick position, you see? But I appreciate that question. Absolutely, yes. And then we go right here, or you be right next. Yes.
How do you suggest that you deal with people where they seem to be impressed with you because of your color, but not necessarily because of your body of work and your resume? In an eloquent way, because it becomes incredibly frustrating to have to, explain this is what I do, this is who I am, but not because I'm black. It plays a part into it, but I am the norm in the circles that I run in my family. Not what you see in the media.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, and that's part of what I meant by a legacy of white supremacy that you're perceived too often in light of the stereotypes and caricatures rather than your own rich humanity and creativity. And I think different black people have different responses, because I believe in jazz-like conceptions of polyphonic expression, a variety of different voices. I don't think there's one voice. There are some black folk who are blessed with immense patience with white brothers and sisters who need spiritual and moral work. There are other black folk who have less patience. I got folks in my family, both types. And if you have patience, then you work it through. You try to respond in such a way that maybe sooner or later your creativity is accented, that they begin to grow and expand, because sometimes they grew up in cocoons. Vanilla suburbs have their own kind of ghetto-like existence, where they don't interact with people of color. So the first time they interact, they've been watching black folk on TV all this time, but now they got a real live black person to deal with. That's a whole different thing, right? Oh, you look like Will Smith. No, but I'm not Will. Dang it, I'm somebody else. I'm my mama's child and daddy's kid. How you gonna respond? Well, you have to work with him. So that for black folk who have that kind of patience, preserving integrity, move right through. For other folk who don't, you got to create your own businesses. Create your own context. And just make sure that when you bring other folk in, you treat them with dignity, affirmation, acknowledgement, and so on. But I think there are multiple responses, but the crucial thing is the issue of both integrity and power. Very much so.
We have time for one more question.
Yeah, I promised my brother right here in the front.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. How you doing?
How you doing, my brother? Good to see you.
My name is Burlington Porter, a recent graduate from Morehouse College.
Morehouse, the house is in right on.
And my question is, how do we motivate those of us who complain about what's been done to us in the past? Not necessarily help them to forget about it, but to move forward and do what needs to be done for the future.
Yes, I think it's by example. It's by example. That absolutely, I think. And by example, what I mean is both in theory and praxis, in word and in deed. that when I talk about the 2 R's, the roots and the routes, that they can see the roots in you, they can see you moving forward, so that you bring together the 3 dimensions of time: past, present, and future. There's a difference between a whale and a whine. I was very critical of my dear brother Barack Obama when he said black people stop whining. I said, well, 40% of our babies living in poverty. We're not whining. You whine, you got 3 yachts and you want 5. You see, the difference between a whine and a whale. Bob Marley is Bob Marley and the what? He's not Bob Marley and the whiners. He made a choice. He was influenced by a genius from Chicago named Curtis Mayfield, because the first name of his group was Bob Marley and the Impressions. Now, what happens with a whale? You're looking toward the future, yearning, longing. To use King's language, you're dreaming, but it's not the American dream. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't dream the American dream. He dreamed the American dream minus racism, militarism, xenophobia, poverty, materialism. That was King's dream. Now, you reduce King's dream, which comes out of a tradition, to just the American dream, then it looks like you're just whining. More, 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 more. No, no, no. A whale has to do with, I want my humanity affirmed. I want to affirm the humanity of others. I want people to live a life of decency. I want to overcome poverty, vicious forms of materialism. I want my spirit to soar. I want love to somehow become present within the world. Hey, that's something else. That's something else. That's the best of Morehouse. That's the best of a whole lot of houses, but not the crack house. And we pray for those in the White House, that dream, not just that narrow American dream, but the one minus those isms becomes, and when you exemplify that kind of commitment, then even the folk who are complaining recognize, I got to move from whining to wailing. And when you wail, you raise your voice like Marley. And what is distinctive about the voice of Bob Marley? Just like David Ruffin, that brother was telling some deep truths, but he kept the love in it. He was on the love train that Curtis Mayfield and the OJs talked about. I know it's getting late. You all have a wonderful day. Stay strong in what you're doing.